Hey, favourite time of the week.
That's the sound of the police.
You first start talking.
Jason Lawrence.
Answer me!
Probe the Popo.
Tell me what you know!
In the event that we one day get pulled over, we like to keep the Victorian Police on side and we like to investigate different areas of the Popo.
Well, this is a very interesting area of the Victoria Police we've got this morning. We've got Detectives Janelle and Mick Hardiman in here from the Collision Reconstruction and Mechanical Investigation Unit. That is a mouthful. Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, what are their last names there, Loz?
They're married.
Oh, and they work
Detectives
together.
Janelle and Mick Hardiman.
Who's
How
the
does
boss?
that go?
Who's the boss?
I'm the boss.
Oh, yeah.
She knows.
Who do you reckon?
Said very quickly as well.
So,
At work and home.
yeah, good on you.
No
So,
more place.
the team that you work in responds to traffic accidents, road accidents. Do you guys work on the same cases together or do you get sent to different jobs?
Not really. So each job, we have a crew that goes out from the major collision unit, and usually we have one reconstructionist that goes out. But
Right.
now and again, we'll hit what we consider a big job, and on those occasions, sometimes we head out together.
Is that hard? Because I imagine, and we speak to the police a lot, and you have to somehow try and leave a little bit of your work at work and go home, and that's like your safe place away from all of the horrendous things that you see. When you guys don't get to do that, do you talk about work at home or do you try and clock off?
We do talk about work at home because it's a big part of your life.
Yeah.
And just like I suppose you guys as well.
Yeah.
But we're pretty good at being able to separate our work and our home life, and obviously, being the type of work that we do and the amount of tragedy and things that we see, it's really important to be able to do that.
In my previous life, working as a general news reporter, I was deployed to many car accidents, one of which was in Cardross in Mildura, where 16s were walking home from a party and were mowed down by a drunk driver who was jailed. The second one was Robert Farquharson, a father who drove his 3 kids into a dam on Father's Day. This is tough work and it's high pressure work. I know those cases stay with me to this day. I can remember exactly what that scene looked like, every twist, every turn in the road. Do you sort of carry a little bit of that with you?
Yeah, I'd like to say you don't, but you do. And the interesting, I think, with a lot of our jobs, the ones that are really tough emotionally sometimes aren't the ones that hit the media at all.
Right.
So, and I guess that's where we talk about you're going home and having that other one that knows what you're going through, because we'll sort of go out on the weekend and someone say, "Oh, I saw you at that job, that looked really bad." But some of the worst jobs that we've been to and the hardest to deal with and the ones that we carry the most emotional baggage with, people don't even know about.
So just for people who are listening to this, you guys, when there is a serious road accident, you guys are there and your job is to piece together what happened, who's at fault, how fast they were going. There must be a science to that. That you've got to park the emotional side and just look at the facts sometimes, right? Because you must get to jobs and be so angry about things that you've seen.
So can you tell, like what the speed the car was doing?
Yeah, we can. So there's our job's to look at the physical evidence.
Yep.
So the
skid marks, that sort of stuff. Yep.
So the crush damage on a car and how they've crushed together, and also look at the electronic data that we can get out of our cars as well.
So will you then, for example, say if I was involved in a car crash and I was driving a Camry, you would investigate how much the Camry's crashed, and then have you guys got a base where you will crush certain cars to see the damage
like
and try and compare them?
Yeah, we do. And we do. So, and there's a whole lot of testing done by RACV and all those how safe is your car and
Gotcha.
and overseas as well. And but there's also in Toyota vehicles there's a whole lot of data that we can get out too.
Right.
And different cars have different data and stuff, and sometimes it makes our job easier and sometimes it makes it more
Because
on a lighter note, just with the data, can you get data from like my car, for example, and see how many drive-throughs I've gone through and stuff like that?
possibly.
Yeah, right. That's an issue.
I was just about to say, because inevitably a lot of these accidents will end up in court. do you have to then testify in court? You need to reconstruct the accident in front of a jury, in front of a judge?
Yeah, so we go to court most weeks. So
Wow.
we're
Wow.
within the criminal court system. We're considered experts, so we're able to give opinion evidence, and
Right.
that comes from as a result of our training, our experience, our expertise. We all also have tertiary qualifications, so we've all got science and engineering
Yeah.
degrees that assist us in using that physical evidence to work out what's going on.
How long you got to be in the force until you can move into a unit like this?
There's not a specific time. Obviously, you have to go through your first couple of years of training, and but we're also detectives, so
Right.
there's that time taken to qualify as a detective. Then you also require the external qualification. So, how long it takes to actually get there? I think our most junior is maybe 7 years,
Yeah, right.
but it's more about how long you stay, because
Yeah.
that's where you can't learn this job before you arrive. So anyone who joins our unit, because we've grown quite a lot over the last few years. So when I started back in, so I was an investigator first, and
Yep.
then went into reconstruction. So I started in reconstruction in 2007, and at that point there was 2 of us, but we've
Right.
grown quite rapidly. But the people don't really leave our unit once you arrive. But
Which I almost find surprising because I imagine
Yeah,
there'd be a big burnout.
You would think that there would be a shelf life on it.
Hey, we've got to take a quick break, but if you guys can stay with us, we are probing the POPO this morning, the Collision Reconstruction and Investigation Unit, joining us.
Yeah.
I know you guys have worked on some very high-profile cases. We want to come back and talk about that next. And unfortunately, we're going into what would be a busy season for you guys.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that. There's something
Yep.
that's going to affect a lot of Melburnians that I want to ask you about next.
We'll go there after this. Play it cool. The cops are here.
That's the sound of the police.
You better start talking. Jason Lawrence.
Answer me!
Probe the Popo.
Tell me what you know.
Janelle and Mick are a husband and wife team. They are also detectives in the Collision Reconstruction and Mechanical Investigation Unit. These guys are on scene at some very high-profile accidents here in Melbourne.
2 detectives, the kids wouldn't get away with anything, right?
No. 3 kids.
not that we know of.
So,
Hey, you guys, there have been some horrific road accidents in Victoria over the years, and in particular recently. I mean, there was a terrible accident last night. We obviously saw the horrific incident at Auburn South Primary School, the Dalesford accident. These are the kind of things that you guys have to turn up to, be on the scene, see these horrendous things and try and piece together what happened.
were you deployed to any of those situations?
Yeah.
But all of them.
We went.
Yeah,
We
right.
went to both. We actually went to both of those together.
How does that affect you when you see these terrible accidents? Your parents, you've got 3 kids.
Yeah, we've got a job to do. And it's important that
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. It's a massive responsibility to investigate someone's either death or life-changing injury, and we obviously take that really seriously. So you have to put aside your own personal feelings
Yeah.
for a bit, and we can deal with that later.
Right.
But at the time, we've got a job to do.
Just
and
got to
it's
get
really
on with
important.
it.
Yeah.
Because then you've got not just families, but you've got communities desperate for answers. That must be hard.
For sure. There are times that after a crash, I tend to actually avoid listening to and watching the media.
Yeah.
I bet.
To avoid some of that pressure and just get on with the job.
Yeah.
Just
Plus,
just work with what we've got.
You've got teenage kids, 19, 20. That must be a bloody scary job when you're going to a lot of accidents where, it's kids the same age that
Yeah.
you've got getting in these car crashes.
It is, and I think for sure that's probably the jobs that are hardest is where there's something about the job that you relate to.
Yeah.
So where it involves kids, where you look, you're looking at the mother or father of a child and think that could be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very hard. So the actual job is where it's very easy to focus on
Yeah.
what you've got.
Mm.
Focus
What's the
on
hours
collecting
now
the
to get your
evidence.
license?
Well, it's 120 hours, right? And I was about to say road safety must be so important. It's important to everyone, but you guys see it firsthand how important it is to be safe on the roads. 120 hours is what we're supposed to do to pass our learners and to get our Ps. And there would be a lot of families and a lot of kids who are finishing school now. I know I wasn't 18 till a year after I finished school, but a lot of my friends were 18 in that year and they weren't allowed to get their driver's license until after they finished school, which is such a strange thing, right? You finish school, you're allowed to party, you get your driver's license. What message would you have for people and kids out there who are about to get their driver's license and about to get this freedom, which is amazing, but it's also scary?
It is. It's so, that learners thing, it's so important that people actually do their 120 hours and learn in all different types of conditions.
Yeah.
It's so easy, and we've been there recently with our 3 kids, that it's so easy to say, oh, it's raining or it's dark.
Could be bothered.
And it's hard to sit and it's scary as a parent to sit in the passenger seat while your kids learn to drive.
Oh my gosh, my mum used to get out and I would walk home. We had the biggest fights
Yeah,
trying to
my
learn how
dad
to
and I had a
drive.
blow up.
In all seriousness.
It's so important though.
I struggle with a roundabout.
I struggle with the whole thing, to be honest.
Based on what you see at work, I mean, what troubles you the most, or what mistakes are people making on the roads right now, Janelle?
So when we talk about mistakes, there's big mistakes and there's small mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, there's people who just lack concentration for a short time and just miss that pedestrian crossing the crossing. There are people who are intentionally, driving at really high speeds, or we're still seeing drugs and alcohol in so many of our cases. But the one that I'm at odds with, there are a large number of people that have been killed on the roads in the last couple of years not wearing seatbelts, and I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't get it.
I'm guilty of it. I'll say I get in a car.
Really? Just out of habit?
Whenever I drive, I throw it on, but I'm guilty of jumping in the back of an Uber and chatting to people and then going, oh my God, my seatbelt's not on. I'm not saying I'm guilty of it like I go, oh, I'm not putting my seatbelt on. But I'll jump in with friends and we're chatting and then I'm like, oh, God, my seatbelt's not on. And I'm in a car with someone who I don't know driving me home.
Here's one for you. I remember Scotty Camp from The Block came in and he's got teenage kids and he was saying that his biggest advice was he would buy his kids a single cab ute when they were allowed to drive, because that way there was no back seat to fill it with all your mates giving you peer pressure. Out of all the investigations you guys have done and stuff, is there a brand of car or a certain type of vehicle that you think is safer?
Oh, I think the more modern cars are obviously much safer.
Yeah, right. There is a huge difference.
Yeah, there is.
But then what about these little hatchbacks that a lot of kids
to everybody,
no,
is it?
exactly. But, like kids will go and buy little, second-hand Barinas and stuff like that. Do they just crumble?
Unfortunately, what we're seeing on the roads these days is that there's a lot bigger cars.
Yeah.
But most of us are now driving...
the big Rams and American cars.
Even you go to your school pickup and see all the SUVs.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the physics doesn't lie. The bigger the car versus a smaller car, the bigger car's always going to win, unfortunately.
Which sucks because not everyone can
100%.
get
Absolutely.
a car. But it's being careful and...
It's more about that. If no text message or no phone call is worth someone's life.
No.
Totally.
No, and, does it really matter? Just wait a minute till you're stopped.
Put your seatbelt on.
I wish we had the guys here a few weeks ago when that pole just jumped out of nowhere in the Nova car park, Jace.
Oh,
we could have
Jace.
reconstructed the scene and...
Guys, I was reversing here at the Nova car
We can head
park.
down there if you want.
And
Because the pole appeared out of nowhere.
Pole came out of nowhere.
Do you know what? I don't reckon you need the maths to work out what happened.
I'd love to
You know
know
what?
the speed he was
In
reverse
your
parking.
professional opinion, do you
Yes.
think the pylons in an underground car park should be painted the same colour as the back wall? Or do you think they should be some sort of high-vis colour?
High visibility,
Thank you very much, Mick.
None of us have had a problem with
Thank
it.
you.
Just
Just
our one
Jace.
friend over
Get the
here.
measuring tape
Jace.
out. We're going to the car park.
In all seriousness, you guys do an amazing job and you see some horrific things, but
Yeah.
thank you for persisting and helping make our roads safer.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Thank
We
you.
love the Victorian Police and you do an amazing job, so thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good on you guys.
Thank you.
And they've come in from leave for this.
I know.
Like, jeez.
Get a day in Luke.
Gonna be a good day. Jason Lauren. Jason Lauren.
Wake up feeling good.
On Nova 100.
Jason Lauren.
Follow them on socials.